we're long overdue on reforming immigration. We're long overdue in making sure dreamers have a path to citizenship. And those who've been here, for example, from El Salvador, we've got a huge Salvadoran community in Virginia. They've been here on what's called the Temporary Protective Status Program since the 90s. These folks are part of our community. We need to give them a full legal status going forward. But I'm not willing to overrule the parliamentarian because I think she's been a fairly fair referee during my time in this.
So, Ivan, what do you think of what Mark Warner just said? I think that if there's one statement that really stands out from this, it's that I am unwilling to overrule.
You hit it. You hit it right on the nose. I am unwilling to overrule the parliamentarian.
Which translated basically means what? Immigrants are not important enough to confront this obviously political decision by somebody who was supposed to be checking to see if it had budget impact.
Yeah.
Her decision is I was talking to Jim McGovern about this, actually, the chair of the Rules Committee in the House, and he was telling me, yeah, this was a really bizarre decision. And he cited a couple of reasons why, but one of the reasons why on the internet, and everybody's been really kind of zooming in on, is just sort of okay, so we asked you if this had budget impact and if the budget impact was direct, and you were like, yeah, it had so much budget impact that it blew my mind wide open, and now you can't be legal. It's wait, you say yes, there is budget impact, but there's too much budget impact and it far outweigh the impacts on society or whatever, far outweigh the budget impact. It's hold on a second, your job, ma'am, this is a Wendy's, your job here was to assess budget impact. You're saying yes, that's it. I didn't want to hear anything else from you.
But hold that thought for a second, because I think you asked me, and definitely that statement about I'm not willing to overrule the parliamentarian by Warner. I think what also stood out to me, that was kind of a way of saying, and I took it as, I'm going to give the parliamentarian more power than I as a senator and all the other senators have, and let her, and kind of kicking the can down the road, let her make the decision. Let her be the bad guy or bad person.
This is super suspicious, Ivan. And no one has covered the parliamentarian more in the last 2 months than I have, right? And I am concluding at this point, my best guess, my very educated guess, is that this whole parliamentarian thing is a dog and pony show, right? That leadership and the parliamentarian decided, months ago that
we need cover. Ms. MacDonough, we need some cover.
Right. We're going to throw you under the bus when you tell us to go fuck ourselves on our immigration pitch. Now, my question is, in this whole political game now in the Senate, right, in as much as it relates to including a legalization package in the budget reconciliation bill, because that's what all this is about. It's about a $3.5 trillion, currently $3.5 trillion spending package. My question is Padilla in on this? Is Padilla in on the parliamentarian thing? Or is Padilla being dragged along, right? Because Padilla, you got to remember, he's a seasoned Politico, but he's a freshman in the Senate. He's up for re-election next year, and he has the opportunity at any moment, right, to be the Latino Joe Manchin of the Senate, right? To say, listen, no reconciliation without immigration. The question is, will he, right? Now, if you ask the old guard in the Capitol, most of them will be like, no, why would he do that? He would sink the Joe Biden agenda just before he has to run for re-election next year. That sounds crazy. And it's but you're assuming that there's no way to get immigration into the budget reconciliation deal. That's the assumption of that statement, right? If Padilla says no reconciliation without immigration, right, and immigration gets put into the reconciliation deal, then of course Padilla is going to win re-election next year in California, right? Mm-hmm. And if Padilla says no reconciliation without immigration, and immigration is left, the deal then falters, the whole $3.5 trillion spending package disintegrates, the parliamentarian is just as much to blame. I mean, to me, it's just sort of okay, you're going to punish the Latino senator from California who you can tell can give a speech. So you got to be careful, right? He is not somebody, I would say Padilla is on the stump is fire. He's really good. He's quick on his feet. He gives good answers in the hallway. He gives good answers from behind the podium. You can tell he's somebody who can campaign, right? So he takes let's say game it out. He takes a principled stand, right? we have a plan B pitch coming to the parliamentarian now. Dick Durbin and Charles Schumer have been saying, like, listen, we're really disappointed with the parliamentarian's decision, so we're going to send her another proposal, right? And the proposal, my sources tell me, is going to be smaller than the 8 million immigrants that they had proposed previously. The proposal that everyone has identified as the likely one to be presented, but hasn't been presented yet as of yesterday, right?
The Dreamers?
No, it's to update the immigration registry from 1972 forward to 2010.
Okay.
So anybody who came in before that date, you know, would be eligible. It's like something like 6.8, 6.9 million immigrants. So it's a smaller ask, if you will, but it's still a significant one. But given the negative tenor of the Senate parliamentarian's decision, like that was leaked to the press on Sunday, you know, she gave them she flipped them this bird and that bird. It was just like brutal. Like, you guys came at me with an argument that was so dumb that I have to embarrass you now in front of everybody. That was the nature of the exchange, right? Between the parliamentarian and the leadership team that pitched her, the Democratic leadership team.
But again, you say that they gave her, they came with her with an argument that was so dumb. It's like, dude, the argument was like, hey, this is going to be a positive impact, you know, financially for the country. That's all you need to analyze, and you decided to analyze other stuff and decide on that. I mean, that's unacceptable.
She overstepped. Like, you know what I
totally.
mean? Like, we ordered like a junior bacon cheeseburger, and she started reading us the Iliad. It was just like, are you kidding me? You said there's budget impact, you know.
Yeah.
That's
a good, that's a good one, by the way.
Full stop.
That's
right?
a good one.
So, no, but yeah, the question at the end of the day is, will Padilla do what some of these Hispanic caucus congressmen have done in the lower chamber, right? Including freshman Chuy Garcia. If we end up with immigration reform this year, if we end up with a legalization package in any sense, it would be because Chuy Garcia was the warrior for it, and he's a freshman too, just like Padilla. You know, they've both been in the Capitol for equal amount of time. They're just in opposite chambers. Now, the difference between Chuy and Padilla is that Chuy has Lou Correa and now Adriano Espillat from New York. So Lou Correa from Orange County, California, Adriano Espillat from New York, who are now also, that's 3 votes who are no reconciliation without immigration, right? So I wonder if the Hispanic caucus in the Senate is going to be, if they are having these conversations too, like, guys, if the 4 of us come out and say no reconciliation without immigration, Charles Schumer has no choice but to either railroad the parliamentarian, like just, you know, you're out, or collaborate with her so that plan B, like pitch B, goes through like a breeze.
Well, you know what, Pablo? Again, I think you hit it on the nose. And as we wrap this segment up, I think it's just another example of the Democrats, I mean, playing nice and not playing like the GOP, when it's like the GOP wants something, they get it, they go after it, and they don't care who they railroad. The Democrats, we just got to be nice, and let's find a nice way to do these things.
They're both geriatric strategies, though, in as much as it relates to the Senate. Mitch McConnell basically says what he's going to do and then does it. That's what Mitch McConnell does for a living. He's like, this is what I'm going to do, and then he does it. And then everybody believes that he's going to do it the next time he says he's going to do something. If the Senate Democrats' strategy from the start has been, let's just keep pitching the parliamentarian until the budget reconciliation passes so that we can drag, like, you know, people along, like immigration advocates, voters, whatever. So we can just drag them along until the reconciliation package through a death by 1,000 cuts. It's like, yo, what kind of political strategy is that for the fastest growing demographic in the American electorate? Like the demographic that's shifting rightward for reasons unknown. If you ask 100 fucking congressmen, like, why are Latinos shifting rightward, despite the abuses of the Trump era, right? None of them will say, like, because we overpromise and underdeliver. It's always, socialism this.
Overpromise and underdeliver. I don't think they deliver. They don't even underdeliver. They just don't deliver. So anyways, I'll tell you what, Pablo, I not to cut you off, but I definitely want, when you're back in there, back in the Capitol, keep asking those tough questions to the Padillas, to the Chuy Garcias, to all the folks that you just named, because honestly, someone needs to keep holding them to account. And I would love for you to ask them, hey, you know what? You guys don't even overpromise and underdeliver. You guys just don't deliver. Why is that? What
would you say to your many immigrant constituents about your failure to do anything for 30 years?
Well, on that note, what do we say?
That's a wrap.